Next Saturday night, Kamui is taking over the block.
We of the Ninja Clan are bound by the code, protected by the code, and kept alive by the code.
It's all ninjas all night long with the first 7 episodes.
Where's your blade?
Catch up with our Ninja Kamui Marathon next Saturday starting at midnight. There will be blood. Only Toonami on Adult Swim. On the next all-new episode of Zom 100.
What the hell do you think you're doing to my precious goods, you idiot? I guess you'll just have to work tomorrow and over the weekend to finish it up.
But you promised today was my last day.
You waste of food! Do you know how many losses I've incurred because of your incompetence? You could work here your entire life and it wouldn't be enough!
Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead, returns June 1st. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Hello everyone and welcome to Toonami Therapy. Today on April 30th of 2024, I'm Michael.
I'm Tommy.
And this is our podcast where we talk about various anime and other things we've been watching, sometimes even things on Toonami, although due to some changes, we might not be talking that much about Toonami for the next few weeks. Well, next week we will, but after that we've got two weeks of Ninja Kamui reruns, and then they have announced what's coming next, which is that they're going to be bringing back My Adventure with Superman Season 2, and it'll be a 1-hour episode, or a double episode, I don't know. It's actually premiering on Toonami, because before, technically, it premiered on Thursday, and then they just had reruns on Toonami. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know what the rest of the schedule for that week is. I don't know if it'll be 2 One Piece episodes, or Zom 100 and One Piece, or who knows, but we'll see. I know you did not really care for the first season of the show.
Yeah, I checked out pretty early on, so I don't think I'm going. I definitely gave it the 3-episode rule, even if I don't think if it's not anime, then it doesn't deserve the 3 episode rule. But I did give it over 3 episodes, and I gave up on it. So
okay,
probably won't be checking in for that.
Okay, I liked it more than you did, but I do think it was a series that I think had some good points and some weak points. Basically, I thought it was usually really good when it was being more comedic, and I thought it was usually not good when it was going for more dramatic things. And unfortunately, as the more the series went on, the more it went for the dramatic instead of the comedy.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we'll be doing there. I don't know what they're going to be doing after that. Maybe they'll be adding something else, or maybe it'll just be the standard thing will be this, then Zom 100, and then 2 One Piece episodes. I was sure they were going to bring in My Hero Academia, but I guess not.
Yeah.
But this doesn't bring up the question I was wondering all of a sudden. If they were if this was going to be the premiere, why bother with the 2 weeks of reruns? Because I could understand it if they were stalling because they wouldn't be able to get My Hero Academia for a little bit until it was dubbed, and probably, they probably Crunchyroll wouldn't want them to get it right away. They'd want to, there'd be some break or something there. But I'm just wondering, why not just do this right away? Why spend 2 weeks on Ninja Kamui reruns? Well, I guess it's a show they made, so maybe they just want to get more use out of it. Anyway, speaking of which, we've got Ninja Kamui episode 12. So, if I can remember how everything went, again. Basically, Higan meets up with the old guy again, who basically says, "Oh yeah, by the way, I was actually formerly in charge of the ninjas," and then he gives this backstory, and then well, I can't remember all the specifics, unfortunately, but basically we do get, I guess, the part where Higan's saying, "Yeah, I'm not in this just for revenge. It's because I'm for the sake of all the people I shared bonds with and was friends with, although a bunch of them died, so I guess it is still kind of revenge." Anyway, meanwhile, so I believe don't like some of the bat ninjas go and start attacking people to hold them hostage, and I guess our main character has to go and beat them next week, the final episode.
Yep.
Maybe it'll it was okay, I guess.
For Ninja Kamui, it wasn't bad. I'm not very interested in it. I'm just hoping and praying there's no season 2 of this thing. But, yeah. There's nothing memorable about this show. None of the characters are memorable. It's just kind of like, okay, we'll just turn on some action and fighting for kind of half hour and then forget about it,
Well, the thing there is definitely one thing. The animation and the action and the direction, that's all good. There's just not a story behind it strong enough, which is I kind of feel like the series would have been better. I'll have to wait until the last episode to make a final thing, but I feel like the series would have been better if it was shorter. If there were fewer episodes, that way they could have, just focused on the important things, and you'd get like the sort of cool action and the fights and stuff, and then it wouldn't really and then it would conclude with you saying, "Yeah, that was cool," before kind of wore out its welcome.
Mm-hmm.
The other, because I remember they made a big deal of, "Oh, this is directed by the person who directed season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen," and yeah, it's directed well. I just don't think the writing is there to support it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
All right, but still, I thought it was okay. I just mostly find the show kind of okay, but the action's good. It's just, I kind of feel, if you want really, really good action, but you want a better plot, go and watch Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. Okay. So, all right, then we go to Zom 100. We've got episode 5. Yes, 5. We skipped over the recap episode, thankfully. So one of the other, because I can never remember anyone's name, the other guy, the one who's not the main character, his friend, he decides. What? Did you say something?
Right.
Right. Okay. Sorry. I thought you. I didn't quite hear you. I thought you were saying what his name was.
No.
Okay. So, and he has decided to dye his hair blonde, which we kind of knew because that's how he is in the theme song and all the promotion material. Why didn't they just have that hair color for him to begin with? Anyway, so our main character decides that he's going to go get a shark suit to protect him from zombie bites, and so thus he can fulfill one of his dreams of becoming a superhero. And so he uses it to try to fight the zombies. They meet up with that girl again, the one from a few episodes ago, who again is in the theme song, so obviously she's important and is going to survive this episode. I think sometimes for these shows, I should not even watch the theme song for the first 6 episodes or something, because it always spoils who's important.
Yeah.
Anyway, then they end up facing off against a zombie shark that has legs on it. You know, there's a manga called Gyo that was about fish with legs that were zombies and went and attacked people. I legitimately wonder if this was supposed to be some sort of reference to that. Anyway, they basically go and fight they manage to beat the zombie. Our, what's his name? Now blonde-haired guy gets naked again, although I guess there's at least slightly more of a reason for it because it's to distract the shark. I don't think he had to take his clothes off to do it, but at least there's an explanation. Anyway, they beat the shark and then they just part ways with I don't know, the girl whose name I can never remember anyone's name. I'm sorry. To me, they're just main character's friend, and that girl.
Mm.
Well, this was a very weird episode.
Yeah, it definitely was weird. Let's bring up a list of the names of characters so we can... Okay, the main character's name is Akira, which I know from that crazy movie from the 80s called Akira. The girl's name is Shizuka, I think, and the best friend is Kenichiro.
Okay.
Ryuzaki or Kensho.
Okay.
So there you go. Those are the names of the characters. We'll try to memorize them. We'll we'll do flashcards or something, as some sort of multiple choice questions, try to get those in our heads so we can remember what their names are. This was just a weird episode. I thought the last one at least was kind of funny with the whole flight attendant thing. And this one, it was bizarre. I guess that's what they're going for. But I don't know. I don't want this thing to devolve into Fooly Cooly. If they're going to go with this, I want them to do it where it's dark humor, and not just random humor like Fooly Cooly. So hopefully that's what we'll get. Let's see, genres here: comedy, horror, dystopian, zombie apocalypse. Yeah.
There were some funny bits in here. I'll admit it is just it's especially weird to me because I did read the author's previous manga series. It was this one called Alice in Borderland, and it's basically about these people who have to compete in all these deadly. They're in this alternate world, and they just got to go through all these super dangerous games to manage to survive. And it's a really serious series. There's not much in the way of jokes in it, and then you just look at this series in comparison. Yeah, Alice in Borderland. If anyone wants a review of it, I guess I'd just say I found the games themselves to be kind of interesting, but I, for the most part, really did not care at all about the characters or any at all. I'm just okay, this game is kind of interesting. Let's see how they survive it or what strategies there are. And then in between games, I'm okay, let's just get to the next game already. Okay. Yeah, don't have too much else to say about that. Oh, I just noticed on all of the episode titles, I did notice all of them are... Every episode title is something of the dead. So the first one is Akira of the Dead, then Bucket List of the Dead, Best Friend of the Dead, Flight Attendant of the Dead, and Hero of the Dead is this one. The next one is RV of the Dead. And interestingly enough, the of the dead, that's written out in English sounds. It's like Obu za dedo, as you say it in Japanese. All right. So we've gotten though at then we'll have One Piece episode 664, 665. So after spending all that time planning for it, finally the big operation to attack the actually technically before I said they were attacking the Smile Factory, but I think this is actually is that it or is this I think they're going after the toy house, it's called. Well, they're going after someplace, and they're sneaking in, except Frankie can't because he's too big, so he just goes there and basically blasts his way in. So, yes, their basic goal, again, is to try to find and knock out Sugar, because that will turn all the toys back to people, and everyone will remember them. And, yeah, so we've got all of that we got all that. They're going in. There's a whole lot of them running around, not from poison gas though. That's basically used to pad things out. And we have Frankie fight a guy, and then we also have some stuff at the Coliseum where a bunch of stuff happens, and then we do the thing at the end where there's all the smoke and you don't get to see what the result was. Yet.
Yeah. So I was with you for an episode and a half, and then, well, I fell asleep, and I wake up like hours later, and you had said some things, and I'm like, oh yeah, I must have fallen asleep. So I went back and watched it. And I was like, oh, I actually watched most of the episode. I just missed really the part at the end where, all the fighters go down and then someone emerges out of the smoke, but we don't get to see who it is. So anyway, I have to admit, I kind of like these episodes, kind of, a little bit. I actually felt like there was actually some progress in the plot. I felt like this was pretty for One Piece, for this state of One Piece, it was pretty good. Now, like, if it was One Piece 100 episodes ago, probably I'd be complaining, but here I felt enough happen that I felt like it was an enjoyable couple of episodes. So I'm going to give it props for this week. Of course, that means now it's going to live up to that next week. But yeah, I didn't mind them that bad. They weren't too bad.
Yeah, I'll give it a bit of credit. Looking at how much they adapted, it looks like we got 2 full chapters out of these 2 episodes.
Wow.
Ooh. For most other anime, that would be really behind the curve, but for One Piece, that's, above average now. Uh-huh. It kind of, you mentioning all that, it just makes me think, how much more interesting would these episodes, or this whole arc, or even the previous arcs, have been if they just didn't have all this padding?
Exactly.
This is why so many people say that at a certain point, stop watching the anime, just read the manga. So, yeah, we'll see. It'll be there's going to be like a sort of make of, I mentioned before, the anime starting from the beginning. So hopefully that one won't have to do any padding, although it'll take quite a while until it gets to this point.
Will it be called One Piece Kai?
I don't think they've given any name for it. They just said they're going to have like a One Piece new adaptation of it. Although It could be, although they probably will make a One Piece Kai at some point because Dragon Ball Z Kai was just Dragon Ball Z with them cutting out most of the filler. And then I was gonna say, and I mean, you can already do it. There is, I don't know, I've heard of it, I haven't seen it, but there's some fans have taken the episodes and they've just cut down on the padding and the filler and stuff and released it, and those versions of the episodes, so they're paced much better. It's apparently called One Pace.
One Pace.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, outside of the padding stuff, there was some decent stuff in these episodes. I'll give them credit. I've often found the whole, oh, look at all the smoke, we don't know what happened, kind of cliche, but a big part of that is because almost every time they do it, it's always after they launch some big attack on someone, and then there's the smoke, and then you don't, and then you know, because almost every single time that happens, the result is that the person will be completely unfazed by the attack. But here, it's not that. It's just who survived, who's good. I mean, it'll probably be someone actually important. It would probably be Rebecca. But at least it's not as obvious.
Oh, you don't even know.
Yeah, we did it. That was the episode end, or did it show and I missed it?
Well, I thought you had read the manga.
I didn't read Dressrosa.
Okay.
I know the general events of this arc, but I only kind of started reading it as it came out a bit at the end of this arc, actually. So I know the general events, but I don't know I never read it, so I don't know some of the specifics. Okay. So that's One Piece.
Yep.
Don't have anything. Well, we didn't watch Naruto. So.
Yeah, you brought it up, and I'm like, oops. I'm like, that ship has sailed. Maybe we'll watch it this week. I'll try to do better with my sleeping pattern so we can watch it.
I mean, most of the stuff in this final season is basically filler anyway. You don't have to stay up late just to watch Naruto.
Yeah, I just know, though, that I might not be watching Toonami for a long time. So I might want to watch it. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. All right. So we move on to the series we watched that aren't on Toonami. We've got Shangri-La Frontier, episode 22. So basically, we find out, once again, we need to, the B-Lock, I think that was the name of the NPC, because they need to try to get her to become an ancient craftsman so that she can do this thing with the item to do I can't remember the specifics. Basically, you need to complete the quest, essentially. Mm-hmm. So they ultimately, they have to go to this place to get the thing to do the stuff. Do you remember back when I feel like I'm doing that, when Iron-Blooded Orphan Season 1, a bunch of the later part of it was them trying to get this guy to this place, but I could never remember what the specifics of why, so I always just said they need to get the guy to the place to do the thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
All right. Anyway, they basically head out to that place. They fight some monsters along the way, and yeah, that's basically the episode.
Yeah. Step down from the last episode, and the episode before that, and the episode before that. Basically, Shangri-La Frontier had been doing very well, and this episode was a real letdown. So, yeah, it needs more humor, you know? You need more pencil gone. And I don't really care for the rabbit or these other characters. So yeah, I wasn't too infused on this episode.
Yes, it was. So Shangri-La Frontiers, the series, I like it on the whole, but it's got some bad habits. It's got some there's some good stuff in it, and there's some not so good stuff in it. And this episode was mostly focused on the stuff that it's the not so good stuff, the stuff it's not as good at, which is just Sunraku fighting enemies by himself, which we haven't really had for a while. It's always the series for a while has been him hanging out with the other characters and having fun interactions, or even when they were fighting Weathermon, that was, a big important boss fight. It was involving the other characters. Here it's just him kind of doing it by himself, which just kind of feels like watching a Let's Play of a game that doesn't exist.
Right.
Which is almost always when Shangri-La Frontiers at its worst, and unfortunately that was most of this episode.
Yeah.
I will say, though, one interesting thing was the fact that they mentioned several times he fights a Doulahan, and I was like, wait a minute, I remember that word. They said that was one of the enemies on Konosuba. So I looked up and I said, oh, that's actually like a monster from like Irish folklore or something. So I just assumed that was a term Konosuba made up, but no, apparently it's an actual thing. So anyway, I don't have too much else to say about this. There were a few fun bits of interaction with the rabbits, but they weren't as good as with the other characters. The best part of the episode was the SLF theater at the end, although I wish more had been done with it, because it's basically just an isekai parody where Sunraku has a dream where he dies and gets reincarnated into a really buggy world. So that was kind of funny, but that was the main good thing in the episode. Okay, so on my teen romantic comedy SNAFU, episode 31. Okay, do you want me to
am I doing this one or you?
You did it last time. Do you want me to keep doing it, or do you want to kind of take on doing it?
You can do it this week.
Okay, so basically in this episode, we find out about that really it's mostly just a matter of, okay, the school's administration is trying to get rid of the prom by, making objections, and they are trying to handle them, but they're saying, well, it's really, they're not trying to improve things, they're just trying to come up with an excuse to cancel it. We have to find a way to still have it. And so, and then there's a bunch of, discussions on how they're going to do it and who should actually be doing it, and all that. Wasn't Yukino wanting to work on trying to save it herself and not get help from the others?
Right.
Wasn't that the thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
We're 2.5 seasons into the show, and she's still not accepting help.
Yeah.
I kind of would have thought that by now the characters would realize, yeah, we should work together. Anyway, that was what happened in the episode.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what I want to say about this. Now, I don't think it was bad, but I don't understand some of these interactions with each other, where it's like Hachiman has to do it his way, Yukino has to do it her way, and where was Yui all episode? What happened to her? She just disappeared. So, and Yui is my favorite character, C is love, C is life. C is the one shining beacon in this dark series of miserable characters, which I like. Which I love the series. I like the series, but pretty much everyone in this show are miserable people, and except maybe for Komachi, the sister, sister of Hachiman, that is. Yeah, I didn't think it was a bad episode. I just felt like there wasn't really all that much we really learned in this episode. I thought it was kind of lacking in substance, so not as good as it was last week.
I don't feel like we really got that much out of this episode that we didn't learn last week. It seemed mostly, hey, remember the status quo at the end of the previous episode? Well, that's still the status quo. So that's kind of my issue. I've realized there was that one guy in what was it? Who was in he was in some of the early episodes, a sort of weird otaku guy who wrote the really bad light novel, but then he just doesn't. He kind of had some stuff there, and I think, oh, this guy's kind of funny, except he doesn't really do anything for the rest of the series so far.
Yeah, and remember the tennis person who plays tennis, who's a boy, but Hachiman gets embarrassed because he's attracted to a boy.
Yeah,
because he kind of looks like a girl, so. That character's gotten very little time too, especially season 3. He got a little bit of time in season 2, but pretty much nothing this season. So yeah, they need to get those characters back into rotation.
Yeah, it does seem like it kind of abandoned some of them. And to be fair, some of the characters it abandoned were people I don't really remember anything about. I suppose on the other hand, a lot of times we'd spend time complaining, well, wait, why aren't we focusing on the main characters? But, there's a balance you can have to it. You can have the main characters involved and also have some of the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't think I have much to add to what we've already said. Okay, then we've got Full Metal Panic, the second raid, episode 2.
Yeah, so in this episode, the bad guys from last episode get attacked by even worse bad guys, and there's a big battle, and in the best scene of the second raid, you won't get anything better than this scene in the second raid, where the one really bad guy goes and starts singing Ave Maria really loud and really obnoxiously as people are getting killed and explosions are going off, and it's just the funniest scene, especially if you see it in the Japanese. It's even better whenever you hear the guy singing Ave Maria in Japanese. That is my first memory of Full Metal Panic. So, yeah, that was great. And then you had Sosuke and Kaname doing things like as if we were back on Fumofu again, and that was pretty entertaining. And now it's pretty clear that this bad guy is going to have to be stopped by Sosuke and pals. And I'm not sure what Kaname's high school antics are going to be able to do to help. But this was, if I were ranking this would have definitely been my number one show of the week. I really enjoyed it. But I will warn you, don't get too excited because this season doesn't go the way you think it'll go. So, yeah, that's what I got.
Okay, so first things. Well, considering the question I had last episode, yeah, this episode explained to me why this season is rated mature. Because, oh boy, you didn't need to go that far with that. I'm not sure why they felt we needed to have, like, well, because they went pretty hard on the nudity in this episode. And also apparently there's two sisters who are in an apparently incestuous relationship, which was what that stuff was with. It was very, very weird and felt very out of place for the series.
Yeah, definitely.
I was just like, what? Where'd this? And the weirdest thing is, after going surprisingly explicit, the series also very obviously avoids any upshirt shots for Kaname. There's all these things where I was thinking, oh, this is where we get the faster, except it doesn't happen. The camera avoids it. In the same episode where we just straight up had uncensored upper body nudity, so of those girls. So yeah, that was very weird. So mystery solved on that. Apart from that rather unnecessary bit of the scene, there were some good stuff here. There were the bad guy is kind of funny in how insane he is. Like and we did the stuff with Kaname and Sosuke. Like you said, it really did feel like it came out of last season. Like, it's exactly the plot they would have done there. The only difference here is that they're saying, oh, because basically someone's has been taking kind of perverted pictures of Kaname and putting them online, and they find out who it is, and Sosuke goes way over the top in interrogating him, and Kaname has to actually pull him back. But so we get the wacky stuff there, and then at the end it's like, oh wait, but he wasn't doing some of the snooping. Who was that? So we had that part because we had to integrate it into the plot. So yeah, there was some pretty good stuff in this episode, and there was some not so very good stuff. Okay. So yeah, we've got that. Then we've got Dark Gathering, episode 9. Yeah, episode 9. So basically what happens here is they find out, yeah, they have to deal with another one of the spirits that's being attracted because of, what was her name again? The new character. Oh yeah, that was it. Eye, because she's got stars in her eyes, like the eye from Oshinoko.
Right.
Okay, so basically So basically they have to take out the ghost because it's very powerful, and it's also apparently forcing some of the other ghosts to fight for it. So ultimately, yep, they managed to beat it. They end up basically, if I remember correctly, oh yeah, right, they decide to use it as sort of by basically imprisoning it and using it as sort of a scarecrow to scare other ghosts off, because the ones that it was forcing to work for them are like, okay, well, we get to just spend a bunch of time torturing this ghost. So that, I guess, is supposed to be how they'll keep the other ghosts away. Oh, also, so they're saying, yeah, and now we need to save Ai from being forced married to this weird god thing. Which Yayoi points out, I mean, you've got to be at least 500 years old, and you want to marry her when she's 20? That's, what did she say? Did she say problematic? What was Yes, he refers to a relationship as problematic. So, yeah, I guess that's going to be the continuing story, because they set him up as, I guess, like, I don't know if they'll be the big boss for the whole series, but they're at least going to be the sort of boss character for this arc.
Uh-huh.
So, I thought it was good. I don't think it's quite as good as some of the previous episodes, but we got more of a plot going. We introduced some things. Admittedly, part of the reason I might have liked this more, if not for the fact, and I didn't even know this had happened, the audio got desynced for me when I was watching it for some reason on the player. And it took me a while to realize that, because I thought when the characters were talking that it was like some voice over what was happening, and guys got very confused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was not really interested by this episode. I've been liking the series, but the last 2 episodes here haven't been up to par. I guess I don't really like this I character. I don't think she really adds anything to the story. Hopefully she gets some development and becomes a better character for the show. Right now, she just seems out of place. So, hopefully, we'll get it figured out. And, just an okay episode in my opinion.
Yeah, it also was a little. I mean, the series has kind of had violence, but this one went a little higher than normal, especially the part where the ghost is like, when you see him trying to remove like when the ghost is like trying to remove Keitaru's like brain stem. That was like yee when it happened. I guess maybe you could say that was the reaction you were supposed to have, but oh, there was one part, the thing where Keitaro's having to pretend not to notice the ghost while it's around. Did you ever watch Miruko-chan, I think its name was?
No.
Oh, it was this. I only watched a few episodes of it, but basically the premise it's kind of a horror comedy about this girl who can see all sorts of terrible and scary-looking ghosts everywhere, but they'll leave you alone if they don't think you see them. So she basically has to go through all this stuff where there's all these like life with all these terrible ghosts and just pretend not to see them. So, yeah, I don't have it just reminded me a little of that. Okay. Yep, I think that's it for this series then, and I guess that's it for our weekly shared anime watching.
Top 3s?
Yep, we can get into those.
Okay, so mine are going to be a different order from last week. This time I put Shangri-La Frontier in 3rd place. I put SNAFU in 2nd place. And yes, hell is frozen over because One Piece has won the top spot. It may never happen again. But just for this week, I'm giving One Piece the top spot because I was the most entertained during it of all the shows. So I don't really feel like I have a choice. So there you have it.
Ian, it's kind of, that expression about it freezing over is kind of funny, considering that in Dante's Inferno, the lowest level of hell is a bunch of ice. So, let's see. For me, this is a tricky one for me because looking at it, I kind of feel like, in general, most of the shows I wasn't that huge on this week. So, this is, it's kind of, just trying to think. Yeah, okay. This is going to feel like a bit of a weird... Sorry, I'm just pondering some last minute things here. Okay, I guess we'll go with like this. This is going to seem like a weird one, but a bunch of these were kind of close. I'm going to put in... No, sorry. I need to think just a little. I keep looking at it and I'm like, none of these things seem right to put in the 3. So, all right, fine. Enough. Let's just go for broke. Let's just pick random shows. Well, okay, I won't be picking random shows, but okay. Let's just go for it. Let's go third place. Yeah, I'll put third place. I'll put Full Metal Panic to second. Raid would have been higher if it had focused more on the stuff that I actually liked, but instead of including some stuff I did not. But okay, it got the good stuff was good enough to get there. Second place would be, this is a weird one. I'm going to say, yeah, let's go Dark Gathering. Second place, Dark Gathering. And for first place, you know what? Let's do it. Let's pick One Piece. Why not? You convinced me.
Okay.
I was trying to decide between those and also Zom 100, and I kept like thinking, because I was like, oh well, can I pick Zom 100? Well, did I like it more than this other show? It's kind of weird. My rankings for this week were weird. If I had like given a little more thought, I probably would have come up with something different. All right, so we've got in that. All right, time to move on and stop embarrassing myself with my, inability to think of things. So I guess there's some news, and basically, I mentioned earlier, maybe this would have been, I should have mentioned it earlier, but now I wanted to save it at the end. It would have been a better thing to mention when I talked about Dullahan. But yes, so Konosuba's back, and we're going to check out the next season. So we'll start watching that for next week.
Yep.
Because, yeah, they've started releasing the dubbed episodes, so we'll check it out. We'll see what it is. Will it be the good part, the parts I like about Konosuba, or the parts I don't like about Konosuba?
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting for me because whenever I watched the first 2 seasons, I kind of hated Megumin, but then she got her own series, and I kind of began to like her. So maybe I'll like this even more than I like the first 2. So we'll see.
I just want to, because I know this is a season where we're introduced to Iris, who I did not appear before this, but apparently is a really popular character because she got second place in some popularity poll for Konosuba a while ago. So we'll see if she lives up to that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else to anything else to talk about in regards to anime?
Yeah. First off is that I made it through another episode of Banished from the Hero's Party. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this thing. It is just too slow-paced and boring, and there's too much wish fulfillment in it. Like, okay, you just so happen to have this girl, long blonde hair, extremely big breasts, and super nice, and all she wants is to be with you. She's obsessed with you. Yeah, that feels like wish fulfillment, in my opinion, and it just it's not working for me. So I'm probably not going to continue on with this show much longer. There's just not really all that much plot wise. So yeah. And also I decided that I'd go back and punish myself by watching the 7th episode of Cowboy Bebop. So
Live action, just to be clear.
live action, yeah. Oh my. I mean, okay, what they've done with Faye Valentine is criminal. She was such a cool character in the original anime. Now she acts like she's a frat boy or something. She's always saying something sexual, making some sort of sexual joke, or just acting really lewd. And that's all her character is. So you've got that problem. Then you've got the problem of Jet, who has to try to be a dad to this daughter whom he never had an original, at least not to my knowledge. Maybe he did, I don't know. But he's trying to be a dad to this girl from like long range, where he can like artificially put his own image into a room where his daughter is. So but what was funny about it is that he's using this thing to make, I don't know what to call it, like a hologram type of thing, where he makes a hologram of himself appear, a long way away, where his daughter is having a play recital, and he's doing that while in the background you see Spike punching and fighting with all these people, and meanwhile Jet's just sitting there clapping and stuff, and Spike's fighting all the time. So that was pretty entertaining. That was pretty funny. I admit that was pretty good. But the Faye Valentine parts are just so bad. And I don't want to blame it on the actress. I mean, obviously the directing and the writing has been horrible. But her character is such a mess. And really has lost the spirit of Cowboy Bebop. And I forgot to tell you about this. This is another part that doesn't make any sense. Okay, do you remember how a few weeks ago I was like, there was a really weird scene where it was basically like a public service announcement against domestic violence. Mm-hmm. You remember that?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Well, now the very same character who told Julia to get out and not suffer it anymore, it's like a retcon. All of a sudden, she's like, no, you've got to stay with that relationship. You got to stay there. It was like, it made no sense. It like, even the character Julia said, I thought you wanted me to get out of there. And it was just basically like, she changed her mind, I guess. I don't know. It made no sense. And that's part of the problem with having a different director for almost every episode, that they don't really, they aren't really congruent with each other. So, yeah, this show has so many problems. I'm so glad they canceled it. I've got only 3 episodes left, and hopefully it goes out with a bang.
Are you seeing why people were initially very, very skeptical about the live action One Piece?
Yeah, yeah,
And why people were so relieved that it was actually really good?
yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I unfortunately don't have anything to add to that. I don't have any exciting anime information. So, that I did, because I haven't gotten a chance to watch too much outside of what we watched for the podcast recently. But yeah, I think that would be it. So I don't know if there's, I don't think I have anything else I need to say. We recorded last Thursday, so there wasn't, so for anyone who actually listens to us talk about The Amazing Race, there weren't any episodes that we watched in the meantime, because we're recording on a different day than last week.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like we've spent most of our time talking about how we don't like the season anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe next episode we'll improve things. In any event, with all that said, I guess that's the end for this episode, and we'll see you all next week, and we'll try to do better next time.
Bye.
Who the heck are you?
Stay away from my friends.
Lois, Jimmy, and the Man of Steel are back. Just three best friends living their best lives,
Let's just go with my plan.
Well, what's your...
battling the worst supervillains in the universe.
With this many toys to play with, we can finally take out Superman.
What's your name?
Lex Luthor.
You have no idea what you're up against.
Superman saves us from threats. Ever since that alien showed up, Metropolis has been a parade of freaks and destruction.
I will take what is rightfully mine and rebuild the Kryptonian Empire.
Run! Get out of here!
Did you think it would be that easy?
My Adventures with Superman Season 2 premieres May 25th from midnight to 1 a.m. on Toonami. Next day on Max.
I'm not alone.
Heroes unite.